hand hands over a key, while the other quietly pulls it back, as if trying to close the door before you notice. Have you ever felt that someone was lying to you, but you didn't know why? "I trusted him and lost my job," says a voice. "I thought he was my best friend." What would you do if you discovered that the person you trust is playing with your life? In the next few minutes, I'll reveal to you the definitive sign you should never overlook. Welcome to the channel. I'm your narrator, and today we're diving into a topic that can change the way you see the people around you. In everyday life, we run into people who seem too good or too perfect. But there's one behavior that, if you catch it in time, can save you from major disappointments. Today, you'll discover the 5 behaviors that indicate you can't trust that person, and you'll learn how to protect yourself before it's too late. Let's start with the subtlest one and the most dangerous. First sign, the yes that never says no. Picture a coworker who always agrees to cover shifts, even when their workload is already too much. That lack of boundaries isn't generosity. It's a form of manipulation. When someone never turns down a request, they're building an invisible debt that lets them exert control later on. Maria agreed to help her boss with an extra project and ended up working 12-hour days with no recognition. Sound familiar? Second sign, selective forgetting. That person who always says, "Sorry, it slipped my mind," when it comes to paying a debt or keeping a promise. Forgetting becomes a strategy to dodge responsibility. Pedro promised to hand in your report on Monday, but every day he claims it got lost in his spam folder. If you notice this pattern, it's time to question how seriously they take their commitments. Third sign, over-the-top compliments. Messages full of flattery like, "You're the best. I've never seen anyone so talented." Excessive praise is meant to create emotional dependency and lower your guard. Laura always tells you that you're one of a kind, and that no one gets you like I do, right before asking you for a big favor. When compliments come right before a request, that's a red flag. Fourth sign, the sudden mood swing. A friend who, after getting a message, goes from being very affectionate to answering in one-word replies. That intentional silence is a tool of emotional manipulation. It controls the relationship through absence. Jorge stopped answering my messages after I asked him about his past. Now he only reaches out when he needs something. What do you think? Leave me a comment. I really want to know your perspective. And now we come to the 5th sign, the one that often goes unnoticed because it hides behind everyday routine. Disinterest, disguised as being busy. Picture someone who always has an excuse not to show up, who never commits to a set date, and who, when they finally do appear, only does so to get something out of it. That person always seems busy, but the busyness is a mask to avoid real connection. When someone avoids committing to spend time with you, they're measuring how much your company is worth and how much they're willing to invest in it. A perfect example of this pattern is Anna, a childhood friend who, after college, started replying to my messages with lines like, "I'm super busy," or "I don't have time right now." Every time I tried to set up a get-together, something would come up. A work meeting, an unexpected visit, a doctor's appointment. Over the months, her excuses became more frequent, and when we finally did meet up, the conversation quickly turned to her problems and needs, with no real interest in mine. That lack of reciprocity is a clear sign that the relationship is unbalanced, and that the other person is using busyness as a subtle form of control. This kind of behavior becomes especially dangerous when the person in question also shows one of the earlier signs. The combination of a constant yes, selective, forgetting, over-the-top compliments, sudden mood swings, and disinterest disguised as busyness creates a web of manipulation that can trap anyone who isn't paying attention. That's why recognizing each of these behaviors in time is essential to protecting your emotional well-being and avoiding toxic relationships. Now that we've broken down the 5 signs, it's time to reflect on how you can apply this knowledge in your everyday life. First, practice conscious observation. When someone shows one of these behaviors, make a mental note and assess whether it's a recurring pattern or an isolated incident. Second, set clear boundaries from the start. If you notice someone never says no, ask yourself whether that person is respecting your own boundaries or simply building an invisible debt. Third, don't be afraid to confront forgetting with direct questions and document important commitments, whether in writing or through a shared reminder. Fourth, stay on guard when you receive excessive praise. Say thank you, but also check whether there's an uncomfortable request hiding behind those compliments. Fifth, pay attention to mood swings and intentional silence. If the other person suddenly disappears, consider whether that absence is tied to a need for control. Finally, look at their real level of commitment. If the person is always busy and rarely shows genuine interest in spending time with you, that's a sign the relationship may be unbalanced. By applying these steps, you not only protect yourself, you also send a clear message that you won't tolerate manipulative behavior. People who truly value trust and respect won't try to dodge their responsibilities or play with your emotions. Instead, they'll work to build a relationship based on reciprocity, honesty, and mutual support. Before wrapping up, I invite you to think about a personal experience where you recognized one of these signs. How did you react in that moment? What did you learn from that situation? Sharing your stories not only helps others recognize similar patterns, it also creates a supportive community where we can all learn to build healthier relationships. Leave your comment below. Tell us which sign stood out to you the most, and how you plan to apply this knowledge in your daily life. If this video was helpful to you, and you feel this information could help more people, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. Every like is a sign that we're building a space together where people feel safer recognizing toxic behavior. Also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss upcoming content that dives deeper into psychology, relationships, and personal growth. Your subscription lets us keep creating quality content and, most importantly, keep supporting you on your path toward more authentic relationships, free of manipulation. Remember, trust is a gift that's earned, not given blindly. Spotting these 5 signs gives you a powerful tool to protect your heart and mind. Don't let a lack of boundaries, strategic forgetting, empty compliments, sudden mood swings, or disinterest disguised as busyness drag you into vulnerable situations. Stay alert, trust your intuition, and above all, value your own well-being above any outside expectation. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I hope the information was clear and that you now feel more prepared to identify the people who don't deserve your full trust. See you in the next video, where we'll explore how to rebuild trust after being hurt by a toxic relationship. Until then, take care and keep cultivating relationships built on honesty and respect.